All right, y'all. So now I'm gonna be using not a new platform. I tried this before. I'll probably be switching on my glasses and stuff like that because things feel a little blurry and whatnot. Hopefully the audio is good. It should be straight. Um, I said that I was gonna do a deep dive. Man, what's up with the Wi-Fi? Well, the Wi-Fi should be good. It's good on my end. I already did a speed test, so this might be with StreamYard. Um, StreamYard, man, is that business. And although I was testing it, there was a thing with YouTube where you couldn't get I guess if you don't have a certain amount of subscribers, you can't go live. I think you could go live on your mobile, but not live on the desktop or something like that. So let me crack the window up a little. It's getting a little stuck. Hold on. There we go. It's a little bit more. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna start doing, y'all, I'm gonna start referencing the Black Book. Y'all done seen this concept and intricacies of being black in IT. So I'm gonna start reading from that in bits and pieces and stuff like that. It gets a little discouraging when some people see how big it is, but what I want folks to understand is, man, I took a lot of historical context to the technical issues we're dealing with, far as black folks, particularly black Americans. Anyway, I want to do a deep dive on TCS. And remember, I was telling y'all that there was a lot of things in TCS that I did not cover. So what I'm going to do, let's make sure that what I'm going to do is I wrote a lot of notes into a lot of things that I didn't really get to talk about too much. So one of the things, as I'm going through some of these notes, okay, that's another story time. The first job that I had with TCS, and I think I talked about this in another story time some years ago. Today we're doing a deep dive, and I might do one more story time today. If I do, it's probably going to be IG joint. I'm not sure. But when my first job actually was a business analyst at TCS, but this was around the time when I was doing, I'm trying to think here, that probably was around, it might have been 2014 or something like, or it was probably before that. It might have been before that. It might have been before that. Maybe. It could have been. It could have possibly been before that, or it might have been a little after, but I think it was before that. And I was at Cargill. I wasn't there very long at all. And that was when the older brother kind of checked me. Basically, they were supposed to bring me on for help desk. What TCS does is they place you where they just see fit. A lot of times you don't necessarily get to choose once you come aboard. They're managed service company. And what I was telling you guys before is Cargill had Hewlett Packard as their managed service company. You got to think, there was all these IT technicians. This is before they was heavily bringing all the H-1B visas in. I think at HP they were bringing them in, but when TCS came, man, they brought it. And it was a monopoly. It was basically like an Indian monopoly. And what they ended up doing was they said, all right, what HP was doing, they had HP there and TCS. HP was phasing out. Cargill, as a company, probably found a cheaper deal. You find a cheaper deal, you got somebody who's going to do a little more for you for a little less. What you going to do? You going to take TCS. So they probably signed who knows, could have been like not $1 billion deal, but it might have been a $300 million acquisition project or something like that, where they said, look, we paying people $500 million for IT or whatever they were paying. I'm going to try to analyze it as we go through. After I go through the timeline on telling you exactly what was going on over there. And I could talk about that stuff now. At first I was thinking, well, maybe no, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to show y'all exactly what happened and what I was dealing with and the way I combated a lot of that stuff. So, and we're going to do a real deep dive. So first job I had, it might have paid, I don't know how much it paid. I can't remember how much it paid, but it wasn't great. But like I say, I'm still putting my work in at that time. So um I'm working out there. I'm working on site at Cargill as a business analyst, but they didn't call it a business analyst. Had I would have known what I know now, or maybe 7 years ago, then I would have, you know, I would have did better by it. I wanted to be on the help desk. They had us doing what they call knowledge transfer position. So that was a business analyst position. What you're doing is you're going and you're meeting with different people, and you're asking the process on how they go about doing things and how they essentially do their job. And so you're kind of interviewing people and you're having meetings. That's what the brother was doing. That was kind of leading the project. I didn't want to do that. It wasn't quote unquote technical enough for me. I wanted to actually do some hands-on stuff, support, whatever like that. This is what bit me in the ass. For me being a dumbass, it costed me. For me being a dumbass, it costed me. So I called myself one day. I think my brother's car broke down or something like that. So I guess one day I just kind of bounced and left early or whatever. And so, the next day I must have came in, still waiting on my credentials because you got to get swiped in there. They haven't given us our cards. Everything takes, when you're working for a managed service, it takes forever to get credentials, everything. So we're going to these meetings. The first time, the brother pulled me to the side. He said, "Man, let me holler at you real quick." Never forgot it. I tell this story all the time. Brother had blocks, and he wasn't no Sambo either. He wasn't one of these go along, get along. He pulled me to the side and said, "Look, man, I don't give a F about this job. I don't give a damn about none of this SHI. I'm here for my kids." And so I was just kind of randomly thinking, like, okay. And he said, "Point being, bro," he said, we black Americans, bro." He said, "You come into these environments," he said, "I'm leading you. This is a knowledge acquisition. Now, if you don't like the position or whatever, we try to put you somewhere else or whatever. But I'm here." And he told me, like, he pulled me to the side in like a room. He said, "I'm here for my MF and kids." So in so many words, he was kind of telling me, "Man, don't make me look bad, nigga. Don't make me look bad, because I'm in somewhat of a position of power, but they see us together. They got me training you." And so he didn't really have to break it down no further. And I said, "Okay, my bad, man." He said, "Man, if you got an issue, just call. I know you didn't like the position they put you in. They were supposed to do something else." So my dumb ass at the time, during this time, I was thinking very dumb during this time. They put me in help desk. Now the grass ain't green, and I sure felt like a prairie dog with the brown grass. So they put me in a help desk, and we were supposed to be learning how to support the help desk. It might have been 2-3 months down the line. We still didn't have our credentials. We barely had our computers. I thought they was gonna lay the whole team off because I've seen that before. So I'm thinking maybe this was around 2014. I think this must have been. Was it early? It wasn't 2013. It must have been sometime in. Was it early 2013 or was it 2014? Let me check, because I need my historical. Let me type in 2013 and see if there's anything in 2013. It's 2015. I'll come back to that, y'all. I'll come back. But it was in between probably 2013 and maybe early 2014. I think it was early 2014, but I want to find it. So the job description, I thought help desk. That don't mean anything with TCS, and I'm going to prove it. Anyway, I found out before I eventually left, and I went somewhere where I got a higher contract. And I gave him a 2 week, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was kind of a throwaway at the time, where they didn't seem to know what to do with us. But keep in mind, they had a whole group. Cargill had been paying TCS as a whole group to replace their help desk. So once I got over to the help desk team, we might have sat there for 2-3 months, literally sitting there. You know, no credentials, no computers. You know, every now and then they'll bring us in the basement and have us load. I don't know what we were doing. We didn't really do anything. Most of the time, we were just kind of sitting there. You know, so everybody was taking calls for interviews or whatever. And one of the Cargill IT managers, he kind of knew. He was like, man, y'all, I don't know what's going on with this project. He said, man, y'all ain't got to tell me. He said, but I know y'all probably looking for something else. He said, I ain't hate. You know, he said, just make it look good. Try to look busy. He said, I know you ain't got your credentials. Try to look busy. We'll try to think it like, well, damn, what could we do? We couldn't really do anything. We ain't got no credentials. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes I say, man, I'm about to go fold up some boxes or something like that. And every now and then I'll go outside and I'll take a call, see what's going on. But the key thing is what the brother was trying to get me to see, but I was too young and too dumb to see it, is that position for knowledge transfer was really truly a business analyst position. Business analyst can mean anything. All right, let's go into the heart of the story. What was the position? And I'm going to copy this. What was the position that I eventually went over? Oh, hold on. Might need a new laptop soon. What was the position? This was the position, y'all. Make sure y'all can see it on y'all's end. This was the position. There was a place called Fountain Group. That's who had me over there. It was an agency, I believe, in Florida that initially had me over there in at the first, I believe, the 2014 contract when I was supposed to be the BA, ended up at the help desk, and that's when I eventually went over for that Dell contract. I think was it later 2014 when I got my first desktop team lead position. That was 2014. I think I might go ahead and just do a story time for that, right after this one. So what ended up happening was there was a place called the Fountain Group. They put me in there for them couple months. I left, I went somewhere else. But when I came back to TCS, after I was done for a deployment team lead, through Dell and AIG, through a Texas-based recruitment agency, I ended up going, I think I said it was it August? When was it, man? I don't remember. I don't remember what time that was in 2015. I'll get the dates. We'll get the date for that. But this right here was for the position where I did the Commvault migration, where I told you I was going to different places. And we'll get into the work environment in a moment. Now, this is fundamental. Now, this right here, that agency group, I was dealing with a place called USG. They were the ones giving me $37 an hour, $10.99. The contract place, or the agency, they were pretty cool. I had to kind of threaten them with a lawsuit eventually, but because they were playing with the overtime. But they called this an EUC desktop engineer position. Now, at first, when I got the email, some guy from India called me up. He said, "Hey, Derek, I have this contract and it's an EUC." And I said, "Man, I don't know application packaging from that." The way that they word this is very, very. You see how wide it is and how vague. So they wanted 5 years of end user computing. I had that knowledge on imaging. I had that. I didn't have any application packaging such as just building the old OS image from script. But I did have more experience that I wanted to give myself credit. They wanted working knowledge of SCCM. I had that. server, I didn't really have a lot of server, but all server is just a beefed up desktop. Troubleshoot deployment issues, I had that. DNS, I didn't have Commvault. Software licensing, I might as well say I had it. I had the basic networking, I had the ticket. Group policies, never touched that. 98% of this stuff that they talked about, you didn't deal with directly. I didn't have no PowerShell. I didn't have Citrix. Later on, I didn't know I would end up being a Citrix administrator by accident. That's after the third time I was at TCS. Didn't have a lot of VMware, but I had enough where I could explain virtualization, VirtualBox, all of that stuff. But at this time, I'm talking to this dude, and I'm like, man, they're not going to pick me for this position. I don't have that much experience. Because I didn't want to go in there and just be bewildered or whatever. And dude was like, look, they just gonna have you doing this, that, and the third. And I'm kind of thinking like, man, they're not gonna pick me. Man, literally 2 hours later, they said, man, we want to get you for an interview. Who's doing the contract? TCS. I said, I just left that place. So they ain't gonna pick me. They said they want you back. I said, oh, do tell. Really? Man, look. When they said 37, I said, what? I said, oh, let me get that. They said, we can have you in there soon or whatever. So I went ahead and did it. And I want to go into the next part. So, you know, when I'm going into TCS, TCS. Okay, so I got the date here on my little note thing. So I'll be looking at my notes to try to collect as we go through the entire timeline on exactly what was going on. My mom had passed in November 2014. When I was working for the AIG contract, it happened in November. She was very, very sick. So when she passed, they didn't have bereavement time for contracting and stuff. So I pretty much kind of just grieved and suffered on my own. I never really took off no time. At first I was, but then I just said, well, you know, I was go to work. A lot of time men grieve through work. We like, okay, well, let's just get back on the source, because, you know, you don't really feel, as a man, you don't feel productive just sitting around. You got to get back on that high horse, and you got to run across that prairie, and you got to get stuff together. We can't just sit in sorrow. You can't really cry on your brother's shoulder and stuff like that. You know, your homies basically gonna say, hey, you know, if you need anything, let me know. Man, you know, it's time to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? We don't really get to we don't get to drown in our sorrows too long. We got to get back, because the world keep on going. The world don't give a damn. You know, even when I was telling like the Dell contractors, their take was, you know, I guess one guy said his parents was gone, and you know, the Dell PM when I was at AIG, he was like, hey, look, he was a pretty good dude. He's like, look, man, you know, your parents ain't gonna be here forever. That was a general consensus. Nobody wasn't bringing me no flowers. Nobody wasn't sitting there. They ain't want to hear a bunch of whining and carrying on. They're like, man, shit got to get done. And so I didn't really take offense to it. I just said, okay, there's no bereavement time. Get back to work. I went back to work. I was playing my Miles Davis kind of blues. Kind of a somber album, but that album kind of got me through it. My homie that I plugged on AIG, one of my Somali homies, that I got him hired at AIG and stuff, he helped me kind of a lot through that, you know, while I was at work. And, you know, we just kind of just kept working on the project, man. So I kind of needed a calming environment where I didn't have to have a ton of visibility with all these random people, because I really didn't have the patience. That year was like a blur. So that was a blessing to work on that TCS project in August, because I kind of went through a couple of different positions in that early 2015, because my patience was zilch. I didn't have the patience to really deal with the normal stuff, the normal wear and tear that I was dealing with in the career. Just being a black person in IT and then being in the corporate world where these white folks talking crazy and saying little slick stuff. I had very little patience. I wasn't letting folks get away with the normal stuff that I was letting them get away with. I just wasn't having it. If it meant me not being there and getting somewhere else or whatever the case, I did whatever, you know, before I snap out, I say I roll out, you know. So that was the way I kind of handled that. You know what I'm saying? I kind of grieved in silence, and like I say, my patience was very, very thin. I just wasn't having race soldiers. They just wasn't gonna talk to me crazy. Normally, I would have just let things rub off my back when it comes to, okay, you charge it to the game, you charge it to the environment. But when somebody said something slick, I said something back. You know, if it meant me not climbing a ladder, I just wasn't gonna do it there. You see what I'm saying? So this position allowed me to, you know, it was mainly most of the people that were working there were, like I say, it was an Indian-based company. They kind of took over Cargill, they took over Boston Scientific, they took over a lot of Fortune 500 companies. They was down there, the Ameriprise, they was at all these different places. And I'm telling you, you know, they kind of had the IT game by the balls. And so that was a real blessing for me to come in my time of grief and just be able to just kind of just roll in there with 37 an hour at the time, and which was much, much more money than I would have made anywhere else at all these other places. And you're not crammed with work to the point where, you know, it was a contract, but it paid like a permanent. I'm trying to think how I could say it. I mean, the rate that I got, I don't know, it was just easy. You do this right here, and you know, I was on the Convo project. So the question, what was the work environment like? The work environment, and I'm trying to think of what they said that was November 19. Let me look for the November 19 email. There's a November 19 email right here that I want to share. All right, so I want to break this down. I want to break this all the way down. So November 19th, I asked my manager, is it okay for me to come in early morning and leave around 2 p.m. covering 90% of the workday and push the last hour at home in order to make sure, you know, the child arrives safe at home. So I want to make sure I get home early before my daughter came home. And because I think my wife was still working in St. Paul. I don't remember, man. But I just didn't want her to come home by herself. She had a key, but, you know, I just didn't want her to come home by herself. So he said, this is a fixed bid project. All you have to do is complete the work as much as you can and hit the milestone. Now, this goes back to the environment part. DP, what was the environment like? Well, a lot of times you come in, the winter was a little crazy at one point, but I drive into Bloomington. I'd start pushing my apps from Convault or whatever case may be. I put my headphones on. You know, I'm sitting up there listening to my Yo Gotti and Dr. Umar or whatever, and I'm pushing my apps, and nobody's really bothering me. I have a cubicle off to the side. I'm gonna see if I can get a picture, and I put that up there for you guys. And I push my apps, and I just kind of do my thing. I don't even think it was 100 people right on that floor. The immediate people that's all in the department, you know, you had one group over here, you had a group over there, you had my little group right here. It might have been just me and this dude named Ashok. I'll talk about him in a minute. Me and him worked like this. So we're going to get into exactly, okay, what was the work environment like? Well, I was able to work remote. I negotiated working remote at 2 p.m. because remember, they owed Cargill some time. I've never seen anything like this before, but they probably got billed for a certain amount of time. But I'm going to show you some of these billable hours. Yeah, I'm not going to hide this shit. I'm going to show everything. So let's go to the very beginning. This was around October. Because remember, the first 3 weeks I was in there still waiting for my credentials, they said, oh, my manager came in and says, you guys got to give us a free 40 hours or 80 hours, something crazy. And like I told him, I said, I'm not no immigrant. I'm a citizen. This H-1B visa stuff that y'all pull over there ain't going to work for me. Would you have to stay on you can't justify keeping you on the project if you don't do. I said, so you want me to do 80 hours or 40 hours, 40 to 80 hours of so-called free work? Oh no, just billable time. So I'm like, okay, y'all cooking the books. You owe them some extra time, and because it took two weeks or so to get our credentials, we couldn't get our credentials to do any work. So you owe them that time. So you want me to make up for your time. So I said, all right, look, you gonna let me leave. You gonna let me come in and push some apps, and then I'm gonna leave around 1 or 2. Now this BA Bob, suspected race soldier, he didn't really like that, but he wasn't really part of my team. But I guess he really didn't like that, and I really didn't talk to this dude at all. I'll get into that in a moment. So here's what I did around October, because if the project started in August, they've already started talking about the time and this, that, and the third. So this is what I said. I emailed HR. Even though I'm a contractor, they still have HR. So I said, do you have any documentation or detail on a TCS Cargill overtime policy and standard? HR says, no situation at hand I could think of. I just wanted to get an understanding for what the standard is. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me go down here. She said, no, sir. Because, okay, let me go back up. I said, I asked for documentation and detail on overtime policy and standards. I was getting documentation, y'all. I wasn't really fishing like that. I want to see what they provide that. Because, see, here's the thing. This is TCS I'm emailing, not Cargill. Cargill is paying them the bag. TCS is pretty much theoretically the boss. We are IT as TCF supporting Cargill, because Cargill's getting rid of all them, the BA Bobs and the Karens and everybody's been sitting there 30, 40 years. They're like, hell, we could replace you with some H-1B visas. We could replace you with some immigrants. Now, you could stay on as permanent contract, permanent TCS people, or you could take a severance pay. That's what was happening at Cargill. So a lot of these white folks that have been there for forever, and some of them this gets mediocre Mindy, they're like, well, hell, you got some Indians coming over here taking our damn jobs. So they were very apprehensive, especially when I was doing some of the BA work, the knowledge transfer. They did not want to give you information on the process on how to do their job, because I'm literally coming in taking their job. And I understand it. I'm, a lot of them, but they'll say, they just put anything down. They just scribble it down. So the knowledge transfer, they were not very open. And some of them have been there 10, 15, 20 years. So you really couldn't punish them. So they would just a lot of times just use I'm white, not say so. I'm just not going to do it. And the manager will be like, well, just give him something or whatever like that. And you that BA Bob and mediocre Mindy, they'll come in there and be like, man, I ain't giving them SHI. I ain't giving them nothing. And they tell me just scribble whatever down. Okay, go to the next employee. They didn't want to transfer the information because they feel like their job's being taken. So, the HR basically said, no, sir, it is business discretion to allow overtime. Most of the time, this is not something we want to accommodate unless there's a reason to do so, such as impeding deadline. Can you give me the situation you're facing? Now, I was very vague. And ambiguous in what I was asking. I said, no situation in the hand I could think of. Just wanted to get an understanding of what the standard is. Thank you. I'll give you further questions in touch. So that gave me the proof. They don't give you overtime unless it's an impeding deadline. But the manager's theoretically asking me to do overtime, to do free extra work. That's illegal. Illegal as hell. But TCS is playing that H-1B visa game. So you're going to try to play me like you doing the H-1B immigrants. And I'm not an immigrant. I'm not. I am a U.S. citizen. You have to pay me for every hour I work. So I said, all right. I told my manager, I'll push the apps. Because he's saying to justify keeping you on this project. So now let's go over here. This is some of the hours that I put in just for that day. That's nothing to see. We're gonna walk this down. I'm gonna tell y'all everything. And I didn't do anything wrong. Right here, this was around October 21st. I wish I had some of the prior emails from months before, but I was asking them because remember, they had me travel to Missouri and they had me traveling to Iowa. Well, travel time, that's part of my time. So I asked them, can I bill this? Because that's work hours. As far as I'm concerned, I got to wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning, have my brother drop me off here to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Humphrey Terminal. I should be compensated for that. So they basically said all the travel hours should be billed except resting hours. So basically, if you're sitting there waiting on the plane, waiting to board the plane. So I asked for clarification, and then I copied a shot. That was one of my guys that me and him was real cool. Old school Indian guy from was it Springfield, Illinois, or Aurora or something like that. I think it was from Springfield, Illinois, and maybe there wasn't, but he was a good system engineer. He was cold. I ain't gonna lie, he was cold. I copied him to try to keep him on board because they were doing real funny time stuff, and you'll see in a minute with us with the project. So I copied him because we were talking about it like, okay, they talking like they don't want to pay us for our travel time. So I said, hey, I want to confirm and clarify how travel hours and PWA are accounted for. That was our timesheet. I said, are we paid in PWA for the following: airport layover, travel to and from work sites, driving? Because see, I got to drive to the work site. I should be paid for that. That's work. They were trying to act like they didn't want to pay for that at one point. So that's why I had to do all this. Airtime while in the plane. I said, I know that it is our time traveling. I wanted to be sure. I spent well over 6 hours time in the travel. So I must have did maybe one travel, or maybe I did all my traveling or whatever. So I just want to keep that in clear. And see, this is where the due process comes in. I gotta find where that is in my book. The book's so big, y'all. They will play with you if you let them. They will find any kind of little funny time thing. You gotta have stuff in writing. Don't just go off of verbal unless you can record it in a Zoom or a team session. And sometimes they act funny about that. I do it anyway. You have to have documentation over conversation. Because if I just say, well, he said this, that's hearsay. That's hearsay in the court of law half the time. But if I got it documented, that's different. All right, so here's the next one that they asked about. Let's go into this one. This one said, you users from the IT infra projects, we've been trying to clean up and stabilize the backup in the AP, that's Asian Pacific and LA regions in Cargill for the past 2 months. We've upgraded the agents up to 97% of these regions. Our reports indicate that the backup in your systems are not upgraded to the latest version 10. We were not able to upgrade backup agent in your PCs and laptops from the back end. Please give your available time and time zones so we can reach out to you and fix the backup agent issues. So basically, they were kind of letting folks know we had to have this completed by the 29th of October. So they got a shot. They got me. They got these other guys. So LA region is Latin America. So I was working on Latin America, and eventually I worked on China. So they're just kind of letting us know about that. So look, this guy put me on another project, and he said something, and this would have got a shot pissed off. I was kind of like the brother Malcolm there. Like I was rallying for my rights if somebody was playing and doing little backhanded stuff, especially after the overtime stuff and the things that they were doing and asking of us and not wanting to compensate us and things of that nature to do certain things. I was always the person that was rallying because, like I say, I'm not an H-1B visa. I'm not no damn immigrant. I got rights. You know what I'm saying? You just not gonna do me any old kind of way. And they thought that they could. They forgot. I had to remind them. So that's why I kept rallying against, the manager. If they say something or HR, hey, look, you guys can't do me like this. So after a while, Ashok was like, the guy I worked with, he was like, man, you're too revolutionary. You're going to get us in trouble. So he was on some good trouble stuff. He's kind of quaking his boots a little. Then after a while, they start messing with him, and he was doing a whole bunch of overtime that he wasn't getting, compensated for. So one day he snapped. I have never seen an Indian guy do this at work. He snapped. He had like a long manifesto he wrote, and he just clicked send. He was snapped. He was like, man, if they want to let me go, but they kind of needed him because he was cold. He was a cold Bama, I'm telling you. So they said, well, dear Ashok, dear What is the activity in the pork project keeps you so busy for so many days? Looks like the work is very simple and you seem to spend such a long time. Is this because you are not capable of doing it or you need some help? So this is me. I responded to him and I said, Deepak, we have the WLAN SSID, so I had to work on that project. We have, I said, remote work that does take time. We also added printers and contacting users for this as well. We are capable of doing this for Commvault if you want us to drop off this project. I was told that pork takes priority over Commvault. So now a PM a little higher than him was telling us to do this, and he's messing with us about that. He was trying to get overtime for free. I said, are we getting the wrong information? We want to help with Commvault too. The work does take time as well as Commvault. I recommend we all set up a meeting to get this clarified. Clear this up with Naveet. Naveet, I need clarification on this. We are told to work on pork and provide printer support and then finish the WLAN pork SSID and then on to do field support for 2 weeks. So this was October 23rd. I was supposed to do the field support for 2 weeks. So then Naveet responded, Dear Shaka Derek, I think we could work with one person on pork. If we need extra help, I will talk to Deepak. Deepak, you only have one person to do your impeding work. All right. So, and then I clarified and asked him, I said, okay, Naveet, do you want me to work on Commvault? And then Naveet said, I really don't care. You and Ashok can discuss. So he wouldn't give me a direct answer. I said, all right. I said, okay. Okay. I said, I'm going to have to take leadership and I'm just going to say, this is what I'm going to do. Sometimes some managers, that's what they want you to do, man. They wanted, what they really wanted us to do, what they wanted me to do was bend over and basically just take the screw. And I said, no, I've never been like that in my damn life. And mind you, the project started to get just a little stressful from little stuff like that, but it was nowhere near the other environments. Keep in mind, y'all, I was still kind of grieving, so I'm keeping my cool, but I'm not taking nothing. I think this was a point in my life where a switch. I'm just not taking anything. I'm not accepting nothing. I'm gonna get everything that's supposed to be given to me, and I'm not taking not a penny less. I'm not taking a penny less. Not a dime. I want it all. I want all that I earn. And so that was my mindset. Because I know y'all billing Cargill and these other places, you billing them by $200, $300, $400 an hour. And you think you're gonna get some free work out of me? Not happening. So here goes another timesheet. This is some of the hours that I built. You see, this is the Cargill Info project. That was October 19th. Here goes another one. So here's what they would do. What they would do is they would have us work 8 hours. So I'm going to work on the Commvault project for 2 hours and the pork project for 6 hours. So I'm pushing applications for 2 hours, but then they cooking the books for a couple more hours. All right. So that's me basically saying prior, and then that's eventually they said, came back and said, prioritize pork work. I will get the work done from others. See, I want y'all to understand something. I forgot what they call it. I think there's a thing called, I don't know if it's high context or low context. It was intercultural communications. I took this in some college courses. Different cultures work together differently. I forgot what the term is, but I'm quite sure y'all remember this in college. In India, they work all together for the better good, which means if Patel don't hardly do much and Deepak over here is doing all the work, we work as a congressional team to get the project done. For example, there was a Cisco engineer, quote unquote Cisco engineer. Some lady comes up to me while I'm working on my project. She comes in, oh, no, you know, how long you worked on the project? And I'm like, oh, I've been here a little while. She says, oh, do you know Cisco? Yeah, no, I don't know Cisco. She said, but you are the ECU engineer. And I'm like, that gets a title. It don't mean anything. I said, where you work, man? Oh, you know, I work, I'm a Cisco engineer. Can you log into this switch? I said, what? I thought she was like joking. Can you log into this switch? And I'm like, I'm not a Cisco engineer, man. How do you log into a switch? She says, oh, I started this project. And then she shows me a folder with a damn Cisco certification. But she doesn't know how to log into a switch at all. So I'm like, yo, it's true. These niggas be getting certifications. They told me. She showed me the certification. She said, yeah, my friend goes and take the test with me. She hands me the paper, but I don't know how to log into this switch. And I'm like, y'all really be doing that? She says, shh. Nigga, we know what y'all be doing. So I don't know why she did it. I don't know why she said, shh. Do not do it, do not do it. And I'm like, well, you're telling me. I don't know if they figure I'm a black man. I'm just not gonna rat or I'm not gonna say nothing to nobody. It's like, okay, this is a culture out there. This is several people that show me this kind of stuff. I met a Cisco engineer. He really knew it. He had like a CCNP, damn near a CCI. He had everything. They were paying him $23 an hour. Because I asked him, he was like, man, he pulled me to the side because he knows I'm a U.S. citizen. And he said, man, hey, you need to help me find a job, bro, or something. He's at TCS. I said, well, are you sponsored or whatever? He's like, yeah, but and I ended up helping him find something. But he was working with me. He was there. And he must have. I think the Indian lady told him about me. Go holler at this foundational Black American. He might be able to get you straight or something because I didn't even know him. He just comes to my desk like, hey man, can you help me with something or whatever? I said, what you looking for? How much you getting paid? I said, well, what's your title? I said, well, I'm a Cisco engineer. I said, okay. I said, you should be straight. He said, man, the rates ain't that. I said, what? He showed me his resume, man. I almost fainted. I said, man, they paying you 23. I said, are you crazy? He said, but they sponsored me. They'll send me back to India. I said, bro, nah, bro. I said, nigga, you supposed to be making like 125. If you seen this resume, I'm gonna see if I could pull up this resume. I'm gonna find it. Y'all remind me. I'm gonna pull up this resume and I'm gonna show you all the stuff he knew how to do. He wasn't faking like the lady. He really knew it. He had the search and he really did this stuff. So, but I guess he was kind of stuck there in a way. He couldn't find a sponsorship. So we had kept in contact after my project was over in January or whatever, and he just had a lot of trouble. So maybe I don't know what it was where he didn't feel like he could find it, or he was afraid they probably sent him back to India or whatnot. But the lady, she couldn't even log into the Cisco switch. She pretty much let me know like, yeah, man, we be over there taking exams. That's what they do. And I ain't knocking them because they on code like hell. They will get together. A couple of them might not know anything, and they'll bring some. I don't know how she got the project because she didn't know shit. They will bring each other in, and they will let each other. Some of them will do the work for the other person, and then they'll learn as they go, and they'll all cover for them. So if one gets in trouble or something, so they'll all cover for them. But I forgot what they call that in India. It's something about working together. I forgot what they call it. I know it's group economics, but I'm saying there's something they specifically call. There's different countries and different cultures where they call my coffee. They call that. So I couldn't help her. I would have helped her, And I said, well, so I know what happened. After I talked to him, I went over there and said, hey, help your sister out. She and they gonna help each other. But he wasn't on the department that she was on. She was on the network engineering team. How she got that job, you already know how. And she said, shh, do not tell. Who am I gonna tell? It's about 50 Indians up in here. I'm the only black man. There was like an African dude, you know what I'm saying, I think. But he was on the knowledge transfer team. Let me tell y'all something. There was an Asian guy too. And I seen the brother that was working there. And I seen him. I gave him the heads up. He was like, okay, they must have had him back. So I seen the brother, he was still leading the team, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, if I wouldn't have been a dumbass during that time, I probably would have been on the knot. There was an Asian dude, he's walking around, all he's doing is sitting down interviewing people and writing stuff down and then interviewing another person, whatever, and clocking his 40. It didn't pay all that much at the time, but that would have really set me up for system business analyst position, which I ended up doing anyway. So, I'm helping the dude with his resume. I said, man, holler at me after work or whatever. I'll get you together. That's how I know, man. I done got more people to work than I guess I care to admit. I done got some people some serious fucking bags out here in Minnesota. I done probably got this. Out of all the people I probably got work, I done probably made the state of Minnesota millions of dollars, man, worth of contracts with all the people that I done hooked up with. I might be responsible for $5-6 million worth of contracts between all the people that I done got on contracts. Because remember, the contractor don't get the biggest rate. The recruiter does. The MSP gets the big money. They give you the 20%, 10%. So eventually, we're gonna go into, okay, so he basically told me focus on that. So look, these are the hours, and I won't get into all the names or whatever, but here's my name. I had 112 hours on leave from October 13th to 18th. So I was probably taking my wife to Vegas. That they billing all these hours, y'all. That's the hours they billing. So here's what I did. And I kept TCS out of it because they weren't the ones cutting the check. I was using a place called USGR. Shout out to them. They good in Ohio. I just sent a brother over there for a contract a week ago. Remember, I was cheated out of like 40 to 80 hours. That's 37 an hour. Do the math. I want everybody to pull out your calculators right now. What's 37 times 80 hours? So I said I want a full count of how many hours I have for since I started on August 10th. I'm trying to keep track as Paychex does not have an accurate account. So I was setting myself up to say, well, and I waited towards the end. I didn't do it at the very beginning. Sometimes you got to pick y'all's poison. You don't go in there super revolutionary. Oh man, y'all better do me justice. Right there. They would have took me off the project. I said, let me get my bag. And on the back end, at the very end, I'm going to hit them with that constitutional smackdown. I'm going to hit them with that Department of Labor. But I didn't do that to TCS. I did that to the agency. And it's not like the agency didn't know. Because I'm probably not the only person that said, hey, wait a minute, you want me to work a full 80 hours and y'all bill for it? And you want to cook the books, but you ain't going to cut me in on what hours you trying to make me do extra. No, the average citizen is not going for that. H-1B visas, they have to do it because they'll send them back to India. They'll put them on a plane and they'll be back with a curry bowl of rice ASAP. Not me. So I asked for that. And then right here, this was October 7th. Some of the stuff is kind of in between. I don't know. But anyway, so I asked on October 7th, I asked my manager, I have a doctor's appointment and a parent-teacher conference to attend on Friday and need to leave after the company meeting. Is this okay? So he says, you better schedule your personal thing after hours. That was his response. So I said, okay, that works. Whatever. I says, does our agreement with overtime still stand far as a few months back? You mentioned that when we were able to take time off when we are over our PWA hours, since we cannot bill our vendor for overtime. So basically you could take time off. I don't want no time off. I'm not a time off vacation nigga. I want my bag. I want my money and I want everything you owe me. I don't want to take time off. I could take my own time off. So they figure they want to give some, they want to make it seem as if time off is tangible. You see what I'm saying? Unless, like, sometimes I would take time off and work other jobs and work other contracts. Sometimes I would do that. Yeah, I would take PTO at one job and go get some money elsewhere. I would do that too. But my thing is I want my money. So I'm just keeping it in the loop right now, y'all. I'm working my due process. So he said, as of now, you are not needed to work any overtime work. You can claim for the overtime when you work over the weekends, and you need to keep me posted for these scenarios. So he went back on his word. So I said, understood. Do you have the current backlog I sent you? So that's that backlog of hours. Can you give me a total of how many hours TCS has lost? I think it was around 74 or so. I am now at 49.5 hours or whatever that loss was. So basically that first 2 weeks, they needed 80 hours to build to TCS. They owed Cargill 80 hours. So what they were literally doing is trying to make you work overtime for free. That is a violation of the Constitution. Like if I don't know what, and I'm going to prove it to you in a minute. So right now, around October 7th, I was at 49.5 hours. He says, try to complete the remaining hours. Once you are done compensating the lost hours, you can start claiming for overtime. So right here, here's my hours. So this is October 27th, 12/25. Now, this is somebody that was on TCS. They were an infrastructure manager. And I think I asked them a question. And see, all I was doing this, man, I was forwarding all of these conversations from my little Outlook, Cargill Outlook or whatever. You know, they say you ain't supposed to do this or do that, man. You got to protect yourself, man. You got to MF and protect yourself. Because if you don't, these people won't. And I wouldn't have got my 80 hours if I wouldn't have did this. So here's my hours right here. For the Convo project and the pork divestiture project, because they were selling the pork department. 416 hours, man. So far. Please find hours from the August 10th till date. Why am I doing this? I'm setting it up, y'all. I'm setting it up. I'm walking y'all through this so y'all can see. I'm setting it up. All right. So now I go in here. They're showing the hours again. I think that's another thing. They're showing the hours again. Right here. I'm asking about, now look, here's this. So now because I'm keeping it, it's towards the end of the project. It's November. So here's where I'm getting ready to lay the smack down. I said, blah, blah, thank you for the expense work. Can you connect me with someone that I can email about the signed contract agreement? I have some questions about the hourly agreement and overtime policies here at United Software Group. I will also like a copy of my signed agreement. Please forward this to the correct party when you have time. Thank you. That's November 3rd, 11 a.m. Okay. Here's another one. Now this is October 28th. Here's the pay period. Here's your hours working as of 10:02. Here's the pay period. You see the difference? 312 hours from August 10th to October 2nd. Please find billable information from August 10th till date. October 27th. Let's go back again. August 10th to October 10th or October 2nd. 312 hours. August 10th till date. 416 hours. 312 hours. Where's my money? You understand? Where is my money? I'm not playing with these folks. I'm not playing with these folks. So this is November 19th. This is where they said, oh, it's a fixed bid project. All you have to do is complete the work as much as you can and hit the milestone. I didn't go to TCF for my money because I know that they was going to play. So I went here back to the recruiting agency because they were propagating it. They were lockstep with it. So look, this is what I told them. I have been shorted money here. Usually I receive $29.60 per check. I have 40 hours per week, yet my last check was $2,500. When can this $397 be rectified? So they try to play me on that. There was an error on that. So I'm telling you, these checks was looking lovely. 1099, you got to pay your taxes. Got in trouble with that now, you know, a little later on, but you know, we'll get into that on another date. But they were looking lovely. So here I go again. So this is December 9th, 9 a.m. Okay, so December 8th. Okay, I asked again, do you have any updates for that pay I had? And see, I copied everybody at the agency and I sent it from my Cargill email. They said, I will update you soon. And I said, once this is straightened out, add the money to my current paycheck or mail the check to the following address and confirm you mailed it. That's how I had to start talking to them folks. Then I asked for updates on December 11th. All right. Then I asked on December 14th, can you connect with the team and see if they made an update on my missing money? I wasn't playing with these folks. Then right here, I asked, it looks like I said, this is my time for this week. I've not heard an update on my money. This is December 17th. This is my birthday. They still ain't gave me my birthday money. I'm supposed to have money on my birthday, man. All right. So then they gave me the payroll schedule. They gave me the payroll schedule. Okay. Then let's break this down. I sent the timesheet again. I had to keep sending this 1,000 times. And they said, we will clear the past dues in the upcoming paycheck. This is January 8th. That was January 8th. Okay, I'm trying to find the one. Now here, they basically said, TCS, let me know. And this is what you want to do whenever you're done with a contract, y'all. TCS, let me know my last day will be January 22nd. And, they needed somebody for application packaging and scripting. I didn't have that. So I'm basically letting them know, I'll help them with a smooth transition. And I kind of let them know, I need my 1099. This is my resume during this time, so y'all can kind of see. Let me see if I can open that up. We'll open it up with another thing, and we'll break down my resume after we're done. But let me see here. So hold on, y'all, because this is a lot to unpack. There was something work with various clients. This is the start date, compensation, 1099. Maybe I'll type of labor.